Have you ever looked into someone's eyes and wondered what lies beneath the mask of friendliness and approval? They might shower you with smiles, nod enthusiastically in agreement, and even praise you, but deep down, an inexplicable feeling of unease creeps in, as if an inner voice warns, this person is insincere. And although there are no visible reasons for suspicion, no open conflicts, no treacherous acts, no obvious signs of dislike, their aura feels foreign, their applause sounds hollow, their laughter seems contrived. What's particularly unsettling is that in the moment of your triumph, before a forced smile appears, you might catch a fleeting shadow of hesitation. This isn't just a coincidence or a figment of your imagination. Psychologists, particularly Carl Jung, call this phenomenon the shadow, the dark, hidden side of the human psyche. It skillfully hides behind a mask of courtesy, polite compliments and empty praise, but within its depths, a real storm of passions. Rages, envy, resentment, malice, and hidden rivalry. Ignoring this inner voice, this intuitive sense of discomfort, can have serious consequences. The price can be high: emotional exhaustion, moral decay, and, in some cases, even physical illness. After all, hatred hiding behind a mask of love is like a slow-acting poison. It doesn't deliver a treacherous blow in the back, but gradually drains vitality while hiding behind friendly embraces. What happens if you don't recognize this threat in time? Chapter 1. Sarcasm isn't just a barb, it's contempt cleverly disguised as a joke. Who among us hasn't heard a phrase tossed off with feigned nonchalance? Come on, why are you so sensitive? I was just kidding. It sounds light and playful, but in reality every such witty remark leaves a painful mark on the soul. What if we look at it from a different angle and recognize that such a joke is not a harmless pastime but a real weapon, skillfully hidden behind a hypocritical smile? After all, sarcasm is not always harmless. Sometimes it's a virtuoso strike of hatred. Sarcastic people, like experienced surgeons, know exactly the pain points of their victim, complexes, figure flaws, origins, past mistakes, and they mercilessly hit these vulnerable spots again and again, enjoying the laughter of those around them. The victim of sarcasm feels cornered, experiences awkwardness and embarrassment, but if they try to fight back, they are immediately portrayed as the culprit of the conflict. Calm down, don't be so dramatic. But let's call things by their names. This is nothing more than emotional manipulation. As Carl Jung once insightfully noted, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. However, people who don't want to look inside themselves and deal with their own problems prefer to project their irritation onto others, turning them into their personal emotional dump. In this context, their sarcasm is not harmless comedy, but carefully disguised contempt, and their hypocritical laughter is just camouflage, hiding their true intentions. If someone's jokes invariably sting, if an inexplicable anxiety arises in the presence of such a humorist, if after their witticisms you have to mourn your humiliation in solitude, then this is no longer friendship, but a real psychological war. Such people don't just joke. They methodically, skillfully, and, most importantly, without visible traces, inflict emotional wounds. Chapter 2. The Art of Subtle Sabotage, when Betrayal is Masked as Care. Surely in everyone's life there has been a friend with an amazing ability to forget key details, the very ones that could drastically change the situation, or someone who accidentally gave advice that led to even bigger problems. They miss important events for you, don't come to your aid in a critical moment, citing eternal busyness. A single case is a forgivable accident, life circumstances. Repeating twice is already a suspicious coincidence. But when such situations become a system, when it happens again and again, it's not about memory problems, but about deliberate sabotage. And the most insidious thing is that the blow is not delivered openly, but on the sly, under the mask of friendly embraces. As Carl Jung astutely observed, a person experiencing an inferiority complex often tries to belittle those around them instead of working on themselves. Such people don't want to see someone else's triumph, because every step forward you take becomes a painful reminder of their own stagnation. And what do? They try to keep you in the shadows, acting quietly, subtly, hiding behind forgetfulness, giving incompetent advice, and spreading false encouragement. In their mouths, the phrase sounds, "I just wanted to help." However, deep down, they are perfectly aware of the true purpose of their actions. The horror of the situation lies in the fact that these people create the appearance of support, but in reality they are a quiet, destructive force undermining your confidence from the shadows. If someone systematically hinders your growth, ignores events that are significant to you, and fuels your doubts, it's not an expression of care, but a desire for control. They don't want to lose you, but only as long as you remain in their shadow, below their level. Chapter 3. Silent Competition. An arena where triumph turns into a battle. A person shares joyful news, a promotion, the launch of a new project, a minor victory. In response, one expects to see a smile, perhaps feel a friendly embrace, but instead hears, "Oh yeah, guess what I managed to do?" In an instant, the triumph ceases to be personal. When a person shines with happiness, their interlocutor seeks to dim that light. When they rise a step higher, the other soars even higher, but not to share the joy, but to overshadow them. This rarely manifests openly and loudly, but is always felt in a subtle change in tone of voice, a strained smile, a manic need to match or surpass. Carl Jung once remarked, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. But instead of understanding themselves, such people enter into competition because they see in the other what they have neglected in themselves: development, happiness, purposefulness. Therefore, they turn every celebration into a demonstration of achievements, every congratulation into an arms race. It's not that they harbor hatred for someone else's success, but that against the backdrop of that success, their own shadows seem even thicker. The person did not declare participation in the competition, but their opponent has already entered it, silently, furtively, tirelessly. If there is a persistent feeling that victories unleash invisible wars and happiness provokes passive comparison games, then it means that there is not a friend nearby, but a silent enemy with whom you have to survive. This is not support, but a disguised struggle of egos. Chapter 4. The Mask of Kindness. A smile without warmth in the eyes. Such people utter impeccable words. "I'm thrilled for you. I'm sincerely happy for you. It's incredible." But the heart refuses to believe in this game because falsehood is felt viscerally. There is no heartfelt warmth. The gaze wanders aside. There is no sincerity in the voice, and in difficult moments they are nowhere to be found. Truly well-disposed people don't just declare care, they prove it with actions. They share your feelings, shed tears with you, rejoice in your triumphs, and support you in times of trial. But hypocritical friends prefer to dissolve into thin air, disappear in moments of your success, are absent when you fail. And when they are nearby, their energy seems alien, cold, detached, like that of a soulless automaton. Carl Jung called this phenomenon ego dissociation, a state in which a person becomes so emotionally detached that they lose the ability to genuinely empathize. They don't hate you, but they are not capable of truly loving you either. They glide across the surface of your life, uttering pleasant words, but never giving the most valuable thing: participation, sympathy, true intimacy. If a person is constantly absent when your soul cries out for help, if their kindness is perceived as a rote response, then it is not friendship, but merely a carefully staged performance. And no matter how plausible the script, you will always feel a gaping emptiness behind that strained smile. Chapter 5. Dangerous Embraces of Care as a Tool for Manipulation. At first, everything seems harmless and imbued with good intentions. "This is done solely for your own good. You will realize this in time. I am simply trying to protect you from pain." Such phrases envelop you in warmth and security, creating an illusion of protection. But somewhere deep down, a feeling of discomfort creeps in. The shoulders involuntarily droop, enthusiasm gradually fades, and the voice treacherously trembles when you have to defend your own decisions. After all, What is passed off as care is, in reality, nothing more than veiled control. Manipulators do not resort to shouting and quarrels. Their influence manifests subtly and imperceptibly, like a snake slowly coiling around its victim and lulling it with sweet words. As soon as you share a new idea, a warning about its riskiness immediately sounds. Dreams spoken aloud are cut short by remarks about unreality. A decision made is questioned due to alleged lack of consideration. And the most insidious thing is that such advice is not always devoid of meaning. At times they sound reasonable, and their instructions seem mature, but instead of inspiring and supporting, they only bind and suppress. Under the influence of these words, doubts about one's own abilities begin to arise, and soon the person starts seeking approval from others instead of trusting their own intuition. Carl Jung provided a comprehensive explanation for this phenomenon. People who are unable to cope with their own inner chaos seek to dominate those around them in order to gain a sense of security. Their life turns into a chaotic whirlwind, emotions spiral out of control, and instead of seeking healing, they resort to control, which gives them a deceptive sense of order. They do not believe in the potential for growth in another person, but only seek to strengthen their power over them. They choose a strategy of long-term influence, avoiding direct coercion, preferring to create conditions in which the individual begins to feel the need for their advice. The belief is formed that making decisions without prior consultation is inappropriate, and there is a fear of possible failure. However, a legitimate question arises. If someone's care systematically generates feelings of helplessness, insecurity, and dependence, can this be considered genuine care? True support inspires, while illusory care binds with chains. True love is expressed in unconditional faith, in a willingness to be there, even in the event of a fall. False love, on the other hand, insists on following someone else's script, motivating this with considerations of safety. Often such behavior is masked as protection, but in reality it is a form of control. If someone persistently seeks to define your life path, regulate your pace of development, influence your thoughts, hiding behind a mask of care, it is necessary to distance yourself and ask yourself, is this really a manifestation of protection or a desire to maintain power? Genuine support expands opportunities, while control enslaves, cloaking itself in a guise of benevolence. Chapter 6 is devoted to such a phenomenon as gossip, which is criticism spread behind a person's back. The author describes a situation where someone's appearance in a room causes a sudden change in the atmosphere. Smiles disappear, and there is a feeling that some sensitive topic has just been discussed. Gossip is characterized as covert, strategic, and selfish actions committed due to a lack of courage for open confrontation. Instead of directly discussing problems, gossips prefer to subtly harm a person's reputation. They do not so much criticize actions as they seek to denigrate character, distorting words and questioning motives. Such actions are aimed at sowing doubts in the hearts of those around them, and the victim is often unaware of what is happening. Gossips act subtly, avoiding direct accusations, but skillfully creating an atmosphere of suspicion and turning people against the object of gossip, while maintaining a semblance of friendliness. The reasons for this behavior lie in human psychology. As Carl Jung noted, the brighter the light of a personality, the darker the shadow seems in the eyes of others. People who are insecure feel threatened by those who confidently express themselves and their truth. Instead of striving to match, they try to dim someone else's light. The success and confidence of another person cause them discomfort, reminding them of their own shortcomings and insecurities. As a result, envious people resort to behind-the-scenes intrigues, striking with words that the victim will never hear, and then hypocritically shaking hands as if nothing had happened. Indeed, behind every piece of gossip, there is more information about the storyteller than about the person who became the subject of the gossip. Gossip is not a verdict on someone's reputation, but rather a reflection of the speaker's inner world. A person living in harmony with themselves does not feel the need to denigrate others. However, those who avoid facing their inner problems tend to project them onto others. Therefore, when there is a feeling of discomfort in communication, When the atmosphere suddenly becomes tense, it is important to remember whispers behind your back are not a personal disgrace, but rather a silent cry for help. And while someone is spending time spreading rumors, it is worth continuing to move forward, because silence in response to gossip sounds much more convincing than any words. The lack of joy in the eyes of loved ones when they see someone else's success is an eloquent manifestation of emotional impairment. It happens that people support you in difficult times, when life seems unbearable, when everything around is collapsing. They are there when you need help. But as soon as the moment of uplift comes, when the first fruits of hard work appear, silence sets in. There are no words of pride, no congratulations, not even a sincere smile. In response to good news, you might get a dry, "Cool." A story about a new job, achievements, or successes only elicits a nod and a change of subject. This coldness, this subtle emotional void, is hurtful. Why does this happen? It's possible that when a person is in a vulnerable position, they are understandable and safe for those around them, their failures subconsciously making others feel better. But when they begin to grow, shine, and develop, they become a living reminder of others' unrealized potential. In such a situation, applause becomes impossible because another's success too brightly illuminates their own complexes and insecurities. People may wear masks, utter words of admiration, but their true feelings will always manifest in their energy. The lack of sparkle in the eyes, the monotony of the voice, the inner feeling, all of this speaks to an unwillingness to see another's triumph because every step forward is perceived as a personal defeat. As Carl Jung astutely observed, the inability to rejoice in another's joy is evidence of an internal conflict. Success becomes a mirror, reflecting not another's happiness, but one's own stagnation. And instead of sharing the joy of victory, such people prefer to distance themselves. The reason lies not in the changes that have occurred in the victor, but in the fact that their progress serves as a painful reminder of their own inaction. Realizing that those who supported you in difficult times cannot share the joy of success can be painful. But it's important to understand that there is a body language, an unmistakable indicator of true feelings. Words can be chosen, smiles rehearsed, compliments memorized, but the body will always reveal the truth. Even if a person hides their dislike, they may say the right things. "I'm happy for you, you deserve it, you've come so far." But while their lips say one thing, their body screams another. The smile seems strained and quickly disappears. The eyes do not radiate joy, avoid eye contact, the body is slightly turned away, the tone of voice lacks warmth, and the energy feels foreign. This is felt in the atmosphere long before any words are spoken. No, this is not a figment of the imagination, nor an exaggeration. What a person feels is a manifestation of the deep, ingrained intelligence known as intuition. As Carl Jung subtly noted, the unconscious finds its voice through the body. Even when words lie, the body unwittingly betrays the truth. There is a little-known secret. When someone experiences envy, dislike, insecurity, or rivalry towards another person, their nervous system reacts instantly. Outwardly, such a person may smile, but their jaw involuntarily clenches, their shoulders rise, betraying tension. Breathing becomes shallow, blinking becomes more frequent, and the gaze is averted, especially when it comes to successes. Applause sounds with a second's delay, hugs lack warmth. The body instinctively leans back rather than forward. All of this is not random coincidence, but emotional microsignals, barely perceptible transgressions that the soul perceives long before the brain finds rational evidence. After all, intuition was formed as a survival tool long before the advent of language. Ancestors relied on instincts, body language, facial expressions, intonations, and even silence. Humans are programmed to recognize danger even if it is hidden behind expensive perfume and a welcoming smile. That is why, being near a person who secretly feels dislike, it is felt somewhere deep in the gut, in the chest, in a change in the temperature of the room. Suddenly, a feeling of emptiness, discomfort, confusion washes over because the words sound friendly, but the energy is threatening. This discrepancy between words and energy is a kind of glitch in the matrix, a warning signal. However, most people prefer to ignore it. Why? Because they are taught from childhood to put politeness above their own perception. In conclusion, what to do when signs of ill will become obvious. There is no need to engage in open struggle, expose detractors, or harbor hatred towards them. The main thing is to protect your peace of mind, because it is priceless, and previously it was given to those who did not deserve it. It's time to set clear boundaries, stop excessive explanations, and stop hoping for recognition. It is important to stop sharing your light with those who only cast shadows in return. The harsh truth of life is that not everyone around you is sincerely supportive. Some are nearby not to help, but to observe every step, waiting for the moment to triumph over a mistake. Such people strike not with knives but with fake smiles, hypocritical applause, and hidden dislike. Today everyone faces a choice: continue trying to earn the favor of those who are secretly competing, or choose themselves, their development, and emotional freedom. Self-love begins where the false love of others ends. If the realization has come, it is important to share it with those who have felt similar things but could not express them in words. I'm open to sharing my thoughts on which trait has resonated most profoundly in my life, which one has touched the deepest emotions. This is just the beginning of a journey toward a deeper understanding of psychology and sincere conversations about human behavior. We'll delve into the darkest and most complex aspects to help you master yourself in a world full of masks. The journey to self is just beginning. It's the end of the old, and perhaps the beginning of a new me.